Conor McGregor post-fight Khabib Nurmagomedov. He sports a black eye and claims he won some sort of battle. Stay tuned. Boxingego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. What up, fight world? It's your boy Ego and I'm back with some more fighting. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing, in fighting. If you want to become part of the gang notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working now. UFC 229, definitely one to be remembered. A lot of craziness after Derek Lewis's post-fight interview was hilarious, and the main event delivered as well. Conor McGregor, Khabib Nurmagomedov. A lot of tensions ran high fight week, and leading up to the fight, Conor pretty much wrote a check that he couldn't cash against the undefeated wrestler, and a guy with a real underdog story, if you think about it, from Dagestan and wrestling bears and stuff like that. And Conor's the mega superstar. Now, on his verified Twitter, Conor posted, "We lost the match, but won the battle. The war goes on." Now, I don't know what he's referring to, what battle, because you didn't win the fight, so he's acknowledging that we lost the match, but we won the battle. The war goes on. I heard that he's requesting, and he already talked to Dana White, trying to get a rematch, which is very dangerous to him, but props to him for having the pride and whatnot to immediately try to get some revenge or whatever, retaliation, some get back, if you will. But other than that, this tweet, it sounds like rubbish. Like what? I was racking my brain trying to understand what battle he was talking about. I mean, if it's something that is like, oh, I made more money than Khabib Nurmagomedov, or I still got proper Irish whiskey, proper 12, or Khabib's check is being held. I mean, if that's the battle, then I guess you did win, if that's what you're referring to. But I'm a big fan of Conor McGregor, but I'm a fan of reality and telling the truth. And to me, this is going to be a hard, really feel like this is going to be a hard pill to swallow and a hard loss to come back from. Now, I understand the disciplines involved in UFC, but reason I say this is because we have a Conor McGregor who again has submitted, several times in his career at this point, and it seems to be the blueprint, like he's showing those chinks in his armor. He's a terrific fighter, very good fighter, but if things aren't going his way, he showed the back door, way out. When the going gets tough, does he have that extra gear to push through the fatigue and stuff like that? Or if he gets into compromising rear naked choke or anything like that, is he going to tap out? And I feel like this is the first loss where there's really, I don't like making a lot of excuses in general, but there's really no excuse for this loss, other than you lost to the better fighter. For example, you look at the Nate Diaz. He was initially supposed to fight Rafael, and he pulled out with an injury. So you end up fighting Nate Diaz at a higher weight, and as a result of that, you end up losing via submission, your first pro fight in the UFC. So one could argue that he bit off more than he could chew with the weight class. Nate Diaz is 6 feet or better. He's a tall, rangy, awkward fighter. Good stand-up, very tough. Obviously superior on the mat with jiu-jitsu. So having less time to prepare, because again, he was supposed to fight Rafael, you could make that argument. Now, again, I'm not taking anything away from Nate Diaz. He's a NorCal boy like myself, but I'm saying what fans have said, right? They said, oh, I still give him props. Then in the rematch, it was close. Some people thought that Conor should have won. Some people thought he was looking tired in the second half and watching the clock, and some people thought Nate Diaz won, but whatever. He won the fight and he moves on. And we've never seen a trilogy with that particular fight, because he was saying Nate Diaz has to come back down and wait, I think, till 145 or something if he wanted to fight, instead of fighting where they fought, in the first two fights. But some people would say, okay, so he lost to Nate Diaz. Then he avenged it. Then he goes over later and goes over to boxing, fights Floyd Mayweather. You could say this is not his home sport, right? So he did a lot of trash talking to Mayweather, and then he gets stopped by Mayweather, but it's in a boxing rule set. Even in the UFC embedded, Conor McGregor was saying, hey, I took a challenge, I took a gamble, I went into another man's rule set, and I had all my tools, but I was limited to basically just using my hands. And that was his talking point, his selling point and whatnot, is that he was limited in his tools and he took a gamble, came up short. Boxing is not his immediate sport. But when you look at Khabib Nurmagomedov, he did the same type of banter, the same type of trash talk. He said this guy has a chicken jaw. He says he's gonna dribble his head off the canvas. He said he was cowering on the bus, hiding behind women. And in the fight, he lost virtually every round except for maybe the third, and that's a maybe, depending on how you scored that, because that was by far his best round, but it wasn't like a super convincing. His third round was nothing like Khabib's second round. It wasn't like, okay, he clearly won that by a landslide. I think I gave him round 3, but again, it was still a highly competitive round, right? And Khabib, the way he played his cards, he didn't do much trash talking at all pre-fight. He said a couple responses, but that wasn't his ticket. And then the animal comes out, the animalistic side came out of Khabib on fight night. That's when he did his trash talking. And they released a video where you could hear him somewhat mic'd up, where the camera mics are close enough. And when Khabib was doing some of his best ground and pound work, he's beating on Conor McGregor, and he's like, yeah, talk now. What about that talk? Let's hear some more of that talk. And he's like, mauling Conor McGregor and pummeling him as he's talking shit and insisting that Conor McGregor talk that trash that he was talking pre-fight. And then the little air horn sounds and the round ends, and you hear Conor McGregor, and he says it's just business. Now, he never openly came out and explained what he meant by it's just a business, but the way I perceived it was he took a lashing, he took a pummeling, and he was getting bludgeoned. And on top of that, he was just the fight was beat out of him. So the way when he said, oh, it's just a business, it was kind of like he was like, damn, chill, calm down, you're taking this too far. We're selling tickets, and to me, that was one of the most telling moments. When I seen that, I was a little bit shocked. I don't really get too shocked with the fight, like when Khabib jumped in the crowd. That type of stuff doesn't really shock me, because people have emotions, adrenaline, and when you endure so much pre-fight and you listen to what someone has to say and then you finally get the victory, sometimes the emotions escape you and get the best of you, stuff like that. But when Conor McGregor says it's just business, the way I took that is, and this was after probably his worst moments in the fight or his worst round, and Khabib's taunting him, meanwhile he's pummeling him. That was a pretty big moment. So for Conor McGregor to sport a black eye and then to post this the next day or a couple days later talking about we lost the match but we won the battle, it just sounds like rubbish. I don't think you believe that, because where was the same energy when he was smashing you to bits with the ground and pound and you said, hey, it's just business? To me, that's a concession. That's like you're kind of, it's like when you're playing Madden online and somebody in the fourth, it's the fourth quarter, and they're down by 3 touchdowns in the 2-minute warning. They try to Hail Mary, you intercept it. And then it says your player would like to concede this game. And then you say no. And then it says your player has left the game. So to me, that was a telling moment, because at that moment, Conor McGregor, to me, kind of mentally checked out, because you just gave your competitor, who you had a whole different speech and, you know, prepared speeches and funny punchlines and stuff like that, waiting for him pre-fight. You changed and derived from that game plan. You're not supposed to show that, because to me, that shows weakness and it shows vulnerability. If you have the bravado and then you let someone kind of beat it out of you and take it from you, and then you're like, hey, you know, the round sounds, that's you're definitely conceding to them that they got the best of you. If you're just, he's talking shit. And then even after he said, this is why I'm saying it's going to be a difficult win, in my opinion, for him to bounce back, because even after he says, hey, it's just business, Khabib says, let's talk now. And you guys can find this clip that I'm talking about on the internet floating around. It's on Instagram and stuff like that. He's like, yeah, let's talk now. So Khabib was not trying to hear it at all. He was like, yeah, keep talking. Let's talk. Let's do the trash talk. You know, you said I was on the bus waiting. You know, it's just like the bully, or the verbal bully, is being physically bullied, you know? So to see that was pretty shocking. And then now Conor is going back to typical Conor, the bravado and the gamesmanship and the showmanship, talking about, oh, we won, we lost the match, but we won the battle, the war continues. Like, nobody's believing these quotes anymore when we seen that, you know? Even, like, I'm not trying to like rain down on Conor McGregor, but even when Conor McGregor was getting punched in the back of the head, like stuff like that, obviously it's a, you know, fight or flight type of situation. But even in that moment, he punched a cornerman from Khabib Nurmagomedov's corner or something. And then when they start trying to jump on him and lump up him, he's just ducking and doesn't know it, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I guess, the common case of the bully being bullied. There's a YouTube clip where there's this big, you know, bigger kind of overweight kid, and he's bullying this guy, and the guy's like, leave me alone. And then, no, actually, excuse me, the bigger kid is the one being bullied, and some other kid, the smaller kid, was like picking on him and won't leave him alone. And out of nowhere, the bigger kid picks him up and dips him and just bow and body slams him on the concrete, and he just crumbles, you know? And that's what it kind of reminds me of, where all the trash talk caught up with Conor McGregor, and realistically, there is no real justification other than the fact that Khabib bested you, you know, came out with a good game plan. And I'm breaking this fight down. I'm looking at even Khabib Nurmagomedov, and I'm telling you this as someone who, I still like Conor McGregor. I'm just telling you what I honestly feel. But I respect Khabib, and I always have. I respect that performance. You get what I'm saying? But the thing that also impressed me with Nurmagomedov's performance was this, is he did better in areas that I didn't think he would do better. We all know if it came down to being on the mat, you know, this motherfucker wrestles bears, so we already knew what would happen if that was the case. But even with the stand-up, like I said immediately after the fight, the day of the fight, even with the stand-up, he was besting Conor in many of the spots. Like when he caught Conor with that overhand right that dropped him to the mat, and then you see Conor McGregor like backpedaling, you know. So I don't know, maybe Conor was, with the layoff from the Mayweather fight, maybe he underestimated Khabib and thought his power would get him through, or, you know, whatever. But it sounds like kind of the Ronda Rousey effect, where he got a little too big for his britches, talked a little too much trash, and all the celebrity stuff may have gotten to him, where he thought he was invincible, and this was a huge reality check, you know. So as far as it sounds rubbish, you know, to put we lost the match but we won the battle. I mean, unless you're talking about Khabib, his paycheck being withheld, him getting fined, and, you know, something like that, something stupid like that, like he's getting suspended because he already got the belt. You know, Khabib posted he did receive his UFC belt, so he got the championship belt finally, you know, given to him. But just the way it all played out, even Khabib showed he really wrestles bears and shit. He really showed he's about that life. He jumped over the cage, jumped into the crowd, and still wanted smoke with Conor McGregor's people for talking shit. He threw his mouthpiece at, you know what I'm saying? So I just really feel like Conor McGregor, his part of his MO is his confidence. That's part of the package deal. And there's a lot of guys that are front runners like that, but once that gets dented a bit, you know, you don't usually see the same fighter. So I can't count nobody out in the fight game, but we've seen it with Mike Tyson. You know, once that aura of invincibility is stripped away and then somebody like beats the fight out of you or makes you look human or knocks you out, you know, you could say whatever you want on social media and drink proper whiskey and stuff like that, but it doesn't change what you feel internally. And I always say that, and I stand by that. And, you know, I know Conor's going to be Conor and try to exude the confidence, but the confidence has to come from within. And with this particular loss, I just feel like Conor McGregor, he's finally met his match. Not that Nate Diaz didn't submit him or not that Floyd didn't beat him, but there are literally no excuses that I could think of for this particular Khabib. This was a step up in class for him. He was the one who was supposed to have a chicken jaw. You know, you could still somehow, some way try to, or at least fans, not me, because that's not, I don't sit up here and make a bunch of excuses when people lose, but the fans could at least say, oh, Nate Diaz was on short notice. Oh, Floyd Mayweather, that was a different sport. But I really can't think of a logical, sound rationale as to, you know, what went wrong here other than you were outskilled and outwilled by some fighter, and that fighter was Khabib Nurmagomedov. Let me know what you guys think. We'll see what happens next for Conor McGregor, but I'm just saying all the you have a black eye and you can post all the whiskey ads and stuff like that and come with these clever one-liners on social media, but it becomes less and less believable when you're not winning. You know, you can say, oh, he wrestles bears, but he never faced the Irish gorilla. So if you say that in the pre-fight build-up next time, then, you know, it's not gonna, I don't think it's gonna have the same effect, because we've seen Khabib, he even got out of character for himself. You know, he seems like a pretty humble, low-key Muslim man, you know what I'm saying? And he was even out of character. You brought that rage out of him, you know? So I just think how everything played out for Conor McGregor, this was the worst possible case scenario, because the fight wasn't really what you would call competitive. It was fun, you know, high speed, high stake, but you got dropped to the mat. You know, it's like saying uncle. You know, it reminds me of Bloodsport. Remember when Van Damme, he was like, he beat the shit out of Bolo finally, even though Bolo tried to cheat. You know, Conor didn't try to cheat, but he tried to one-up Khabib with the trash talk. But Bolo in the Bloodsport movie, he threw that powder in Van Damme's eye. Bleh! Finally, Van Damme, you know, gets it together, has a little flashback to honor you, Shidoshi, right? Beats shit out of Bolo, and then he has Bolo on the ground, and he's like, say it. Say it! Say it! And then Bolo's like, Mate. And in the Kumite, Mate means uncle, like, I give up. You know, that's you surrendering. And to me, that's kind of what Conor did. Like, he looked like he mentally checked out in this particular fight. Now, if it's just a super competitive fight and then you lost in the cars, boom. But you got submitted, you got pounded, especially in the second round. Then after Khabib wanted more smoke, jumping into the crowd, you know, and start attacking your people, then you got jumped at the end, you know. So it was really a detrimental blow to the aura of the confident, you know, Irish gorilla and stuff, to me. Let me know what you guys think. That's my latest. I wanted to react to Conor McGregor in this post. It just seems a bit absurd that he's saying he won the battle. I don't know what the battle is based on what I've seen, but we'll see how he bounces back. You know, Ronda Rousey, she had a trouble. she had trouble bouncing back, you know. So we'll see what Conor's made of, I'm sure, in his next fight. And the other thing you got to look at in the fight game is you start to look like food if people see chinks in the armor. You know, when you're the man in your sport and no one's beating you, no one's like touching you, then you're godlike. But when people start seeing, oh shit, you see that second round, you see how Conor got hit with that, you know, huge right, and he's supposed to be the striker. You know, it just wasn't Conor's night. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you smash the like button as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.